Village of Fleischman's Planning Board meeting for April 3rd, 2023 to order. First, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
Here, it's right, just nod your head.
It's not doing.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, approve amended minutes from September 6th.
You remember that, right?
2022.
That was a big day.
Yeah. So that was the one where we talked about the grant money.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we really didn't take action, but we recommended, they asked us if there's any problems that we knew about, and somebody
Right.
brought up oil tanks.
Yeah, that I was brought up the oil tanks for the property down here. And
Right.
I have no
So,
problem with it. It looks like they've even started doing something there,
yeah.
or maybe next door. So
So could I get a motion to approve the minutes from September 6th?
I so move.
Yeah, I'm second.
All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Yeah.
all right. That was easy. Let's hope it stays that way.
Are you Mr. Jackson?
Yes.
Nice to see you, sir. So, Mr. Jackson has submitted an application for 106 Little Red Hill Road. 106 Little Red Hill Road is right past Snyder Avenue as you're going up the hill on the right-hand side. It was a blue house with a red roof, or,
Blue with a red roof.
right?
Yeah, it's proportionate.
Well, it depends which way you're going. If you're going
Yeah,
up,
from
it's
that-
after. If you're coming down, it's before, right? And you're right on the stream?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right across from Camp Paradise Lake Road.
Yes.
Where it goes through.
Diagonal.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're proposing?
Well, I think it's pretty simple. We purchased a two-family home within a foreclosure. We did the renovation and made it livable. It's livable now. I'm living there with my wife in the lower floor. And we're hoping to make an Airbnb on the upper floor and the lower floor eventually, but right now, the upper floor. And we completed our, well, we made it livable. I mean, there's things that need to be worked to make it better, but it's fine, it's livable, it's safe.
Do you guys all know where it is?
Yeah, I know where is the place. Yeah, I didn't go inside, but I know.
Did you get a chance to go up there and look at it and walk around a little bit, or?
No, no.
So, I'm a surveyor, a little bit of my background, so you know, like where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
I went up and I parked in the lower parking area where you say it's gonna take, what, 3 cars right there?
Yes.
Yeah, you could probably squeeze 3 cars, cut down a couple small trees, and I think you'd be fine. I really am concerned about the sight distance there, coming down the hill on that turn and having somebody back out into traffic. I think it's a recipe for disaster right there. I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, I presently, when we park there, I approach the street cautiously. That's the best way to describe
Right.
it. If you get out, you go slowly and you pull out, you can see around the bend. It's somewhat of a bend, but that, if somebody's going to be unsafe, they can, they want to be a hot rod driver, they can zip out of there.
Right.
That's how I deal with it. Even, with the one car, it doesn't matter how many cars it's going to be.
Yeah, we look at these applications for safety. That's one of the things we look at. And I think it's kind of an unsafe situation. Somebody not knowing the area, not knowing that roadway to pull out into it. I think it has the potential for a problem right there. But I'd love to discuss it with you and see if you can come up with any type of solution. I don't know what the solution is, because you just can't see around that turn from that lower parking lot.
If you get out of it, you can. No, it's. I mean, I believe one solution might be, I've seen it in other places where you can put a mirror across the road so you can see approaching vehicles.
Yeah, that would probably work really well for somebody that lived there and understood the dynamics of the situation. But to put a a renter in there who doesn't understand the traffic's coming down that road and how tight it is, I think it's a hazard, to be honest with you. I don't know how you guys feel.
I agree.
I agree with you, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I know John Krakowiak, who called me, he had the same concern
The
about
same
the site distance right there.
Who was that, I'm sorry?
John's a board member who was just out of town, who called me up.
I mean, what, and we have a legal two-family, so one way or the other, you're gonna have people there. I mean, so what we're proposing is renting it on I guess what the Airbnb is like a short-term rental.
Sure.
Long-term, short-term, somebody's gonna be there, they're gonna have to approach the road cautiously, no matter what. Beyond that, I don't, we're not gonna have valet parking.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and I wouldn't expect you to have valet
I'm
parking.
joking.
Yeah, no, it's nice to have a little levity in the situation. But if we get, say Jennifer brought her children up to ski and didn't know that road and went to pull out, I would really be concerned that we would facilitating an accident just waiting to happen by someone who doesn't know that. So I would recommend that we would table this application for more information.
Mhm.
And really, my concern was the site distance. I saw you put a nice fence up so nobody would go over the bank by the stream. And that was great.
We've had lots of concerns about safety.
Yeah, you can
There's a
tell.
balcony that upstairs that was open. So we enclose, I put enclosure so that people can't. I'm always concerned about kids.
Mhm.
Even the fence in the back, I wanted to make it as childproof as you can. You can't, kids are kids. You can't. But I made sure that there isn't an opening that a child could get through. It's a steep grade going down to the street.
Like you said, the property is that,
Mhm.
and I think the distinction, Rod's making too, is that, right now, to occupy that home, just as a regular use, it doesn't require the planning board's approval, so they're in a spot where they have to kind
Mhm.
of, give their permission for the tourist home use, and I think that's,
No, I
Something they have to
understand.
look at.
I mean, but one way or the other, somebody is gonna be living on the upper floor and perhaps on the lower floor as well. That's an allowed use from what I understand. Correct me if I'm wrong, if it's legal to family. Like I said, perhaps one of the solutions would be to put some sort of mirror. They have these convex mirrors where you see a car approaching.
Mhm.
If people want to drive unsafely, they're going to drive unsafely. I can't,
Yeah.
I-
What constitutes a legal two-family?
I don't know.
Okay, but you've made that statement 3 or 4 times, so.
Yeah, but that's how it's zoned. If that's how it's deeded as a two-family.
It's deeded as, I've never seen that.
maybe the assessment.
Yeah, that's what I understand. I don't know the legality. I
Uh-huh.
just know it. But as far as I know, it's a two-family. I can, if you want
Okay.
to dig into it, I'll dig into it and do that.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody was renting monthly and knew the situation, right, and it's a legal two-family, then I don't think you need an approval from us, right? Because it's a
No,
pre-existing
The
use,
short-term use that,
right? But for an Airbnb, that we have a regulation that we have to follow in safety, if someone's not gonna really know the area, probably, they might, but chances are they're gonna ski up here or hike up here or do some recreational use. And they wouldn't really understand the dynamics of that situation falling out.
Mhm.
And that makes us a little nervous. It makes me nervous. I just want
What
to.
about the concept of putting a mirror across the street?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that like as almost like a last resort type thing.
I don't know. That's just a person, but I've seen it. I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen it too. But I don't know if we want to compound the problem, giving, having a permit issued for an Airbnb and then something happened. I think we put the village at risk. But we can move forward if you'd like, if you'd still like to try for it, the application. We can set up a public hearing for next month,
Mhm.
but that's going to be my issue is the site distance there. So you're going to have to come prepared to talk about that. seem fair?
I'm not, you'll forgive me, I'm not familiar with the dynamic as far as a public hearing opposed to what's taking place.
So
Deny.
this is your initial application. There's usually a couple more people over here, but they couldn't make it. So the permit requires a public hearing
Okay,
where you have to notify your neighbors. Is it within 500 feet? Is that what the reg says?
I'll double check, but I believe it is
Yeah.
500.
It's either 500 feet or adjoining.
Yeah.
We'll check.
And so we'll get that information back to you. So you send out notices, I think it's 10 days before the meeting, Ken,
Yep,
to all your neighbors within this geographic circle around your
that's
house.
the mail notices.
it's like a certified registered mail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you bring the notices back so we can see that you did it. And then we open it up to public comment for all your neighbors, and your neighbors can weigh in. I don't know what they'll bring up, but I imagine safety might be one of them. You know, they talk about noise, they talk about lighting, you know, all that stuff with these Airbnbs. Some people have open fires, you know, they talk about that. Because we've had several of these hearings so far. But if you'd like to proceed to the next step, we can do that. Everybody's okay with doing that, having a public hearing? And we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and just looking at this for the notice requirement, so under your tourist home section, it does say off-street parking spaces shall be arranged so that guests and or occupants of the tourist home will not be required to back onto or off of a public road or alley to access the property. So that's something probably the board should look at too. I mean, it's,
Well, you can back in there, but you're out and you gotta pull up in the road and then back out and the traffic's coming down the hill right towards you.
Right.
And I'll research with Carl, the code enforcement officer, about a legal two-unit facility there and see what he says, just so we know. Yeah. Do you have any questions?
I'm just not clear how I would go about giving notice to neighbors as far as notice.
For addresses?
Well, I guess addresses.
Well, we have a form made up, right?
I'm sorry, as usual. I have to get you the names of your neighbors. I'll get you your names and addresses and all that fun stuff.
Okay,
And at least that's what I've done before. And then we have to mail them out certified mail. They come back. And we hang on to the receipts for the certified mail to prove that you sent them out.
then I'm familiar with her.
So, but yeah, we have to go on and
But how?
it's like a form letter or so.
What's
Yeah,
the
there's-
radius though for that?
500 feet, and I have to go on to there's a map site that I go to, and I go around, I take your property and I go around 500 feet.
So the outside boundary of your property from that distance, 500 feet out is who it notifies.
Yeah, well, the neighbors, well, we have the stream behind us, so that probably, it won't be that very many people.
Yeah, if the stream's more than 500 feet, it won't bring in whoever's on the other
Street's
side.
right
Right.
next to the
It'll
house.
bring your immediate neighbors.
That's
and-
okay, if you only have 2 people, then you only
Yeah.
have to do 2 people.
Well, whatever
No
it
neighbors is no neighbors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the 500 feet will get you over onto Schneider and catch some people over there, Groschel's. I don't know what, whose house they saw him.
Who?
Groschel's.
I'm sorry, what is it?
You'll see, well, yeah, Bernadine Miller's house,
Yeah, it's
but she
online
passed,
and
but
they
it
may
wasn't,
have
it didn't sell, she didn't
Yeah.
sell.
So I think there's gonna be more than one or two.
Yeah,
think
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
have a feeling it's gonna be, yeah.
City of New York's right there,
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
right? I
Yeah.
doubt they'll show up. So we'll supply the list to you and we'll supply the letter too, that you can send out.
How much notice is it, 30 day or?
No, it's usually 10 days before the meeting.
10 days?
And then the planning board, the village put the notice in the paper, the newspaper, it says. And then, and this says 300 feet for a special permit. Is certified mail return receipt on all property owners within 300 feet of any lot line.
So it's 300. not
much,
500.
300.
Any other concerns that we want to share or
Fire issue, fire safety,
fire safety?
yes.
Who's
This is gonna be, I don't know how many, it's no open fire, and it's belong,
Right, in the
Fleischmann,
village.
there's no open fire,
Yeah,
and Fleischmann's at all.
in the village.
In the village, yes.
There's a existing, when we purchased it, there's an existing porta fireplace in the courtyard. courtyard next to the house,
Mhm.
so that can't be used, is that what you're saying? or-
It's not legal.
It's illegal.
Okay, I don't have-
Otherwise, was there
I've
is
never
illegal.
used it, it's not operable as it is.
Yeah, I mean, the code officer may make a distinction between like if it's a barbecue versus an
No,
open fire or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
We're talking about fire pits.
Yeah.
Fire,
I don't
yeah.
know what it's a barbecue. It's a barbecue, it doesn't have a great.
Barbecue, you can do it and invite me also.
I make good barbecue.
I think the idea is not so much, your time of it, but when a guest sees something to do that, some
Right.
of the other Republicans we've had, folks have come and said,
I don't
listen,
want my home burned.
understand,
Yeah.
I don't want to burn anybody else's home down. I don't
Yeah.
want to burn my home.
Yeah.
I'm insured, but I hope.
Sure, and they're not worried about you, they're worried about your guests in a few years or something like that, so they
I
just have
don't want
to.
anything.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll take a look at the zoning, and there's a question whether it is truly a two-family or it's not a two-family.
I don't know I don't know what makes it
I don't know.
a
I don't
two-family.
know. I don't have it.
I don't,
It was sold as a two-family, as far as I know.
Yeah, so it was owned by Debbie Matheson,
Yeah.
and she called herself Moonbeam because she thought she was a witch. And then
Really?
the guy she lived with, Hawk,
Moving
he
before.
was a violin guy, but they actually went by Hawk and Moonbeam. And he was a carpenter. Probably shows inside
It's,
the house.
well, the history, I sort of say that they put a lot of money obviously into the house.
Uh-huh.
I guess they lost it. It was a foreclosure, that's how we.
Yeah, because I knew him, he was worried about the house falling into the stream and those rocks it sits on cutting loose, and he thought it was cantilever way too far out over the water. They didn't feel safe there.
My wife doesn't care.
I'm just telling you what it
But
is.
my wife's attitude, it's been here for all this time, it's gonna stay.
Yeah, it's been there for a
I
while.
don't, I mean, but no, I'll, but as far as, the parking issue, safety, I'm concerned. I have, I'm concerned about my liability.
Yeah.
As well, I mean, I don't like, I've, knock on wood, I've never been sued.
Yeah.
I wish I could say
It's a
that.
litigious world out there.
Sure it is. And that's, and they're not trying to make a tourist home application difficult, but they have to put their blessing on,
No, no, no.
the intent to buy.
I don't get a
it,
sense
so
that
that's fine,
anybody's
yeah.
being difficult.
Yeah, well, we're trying to protect you also.
Yeah.
That you-
I want to be protected. I have other assets and I don't want to defend my assets.
Yeah.
I'm not a kid anymore. I'm not about to start over.
Boy, that'd be hard, wouldn't it?
No, I've done it once.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll push forward to public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And we'll see what input we get from the public about, whatever their concerns are.
Rob, just to clarify for me, if you're gonna do a public hearing, it's gonna be on May 1st?
We can look at the date.
Yeah, it would be May 1st.
It would be, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Is that
Okay,
the-
so-
Yeah, no,
you have a
that's
calendar in
fine.
your head?
yeah, it's my daughter's birthday.
Oh,
Mhm.
But we're celebrating the night before, so it's fine.
okay.
Man,
I'm just asking, the first Monday of that.
Yeah.
month is
Right.
when
Yeah.
We're gonna have it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
And 5 o'clock works for everyone?
Yeah, it's fine.
yeah,
Okay.
That way, because
So
the
first
weather will be nice.
Monday.
I wanna get out.
Yeah.
So just one thing further, I mean, our understanding again is it's a two-family, so our intention at this point. I'll go back a step.
Yeah.
My understanding is it's an Airbnb, it's a short-term rental, but assuming it is a legal two-family, we're free to rent it long-term now for 30 days or more. Correct me if I'm wrong, that's my understanding.
Yeah, common sense says to me,
Yeah.
that if it's a legal existing two-family structure right now, and that use is current, and you're not asking for an Airbnb anymore, you just want to rent it long-term, then we have no input.
And the board doesn't have to do anything.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Our immediate plan is to rent it long-term, and advertise it that way for long-term.
Yeah.
Stays, we'll see what the outcome of this, the Airbnb application is.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure, I don't want to be, people feel I'm being a wise guy or trying to get around something or get away from something, that's not my intention.
Right, well, if it's like a pre-existing condition, right, and it's an approved two-family, like you're saying, which I don't know who would approve it, but then you're not coming to us for approval. Right, so we have no input.
In my experience, so like 1 and 2 family home is allowed when that zoning gets strict.
Yeah.
Carl, actually, the code officer, would be the one to say what a dwelling unit needs, so it's more than a code requirement, to make
Yeah,
sure that
not-
that's truly
not
a
us.
kitchen, has a bathroom, we can call this a unit, we can call that a unit, you're probably being taxed the 2 unit, and that's where we're
Right,
getting the
right.
thing, you know, so
That
your
doesn't
assessment.
necessarily mean.
So on your Village of Fleischman's taxes,
Yes,
you're being taxed for a 2-family residence,
okay.
right? So I think
Yeah.
that pretty much says it right
Yeah.
there.
So
And
that,
then you bought it probably knowing that, and maybe that's where you got the information.
well, that was my understanding, believe me. Again, I don't want to be white.
No, 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 this is, and there's nobody here to listen to it, so we're just talking.
No, no,
Yeah.
no, you know, I hear, you know, I like to get along with neighbors. I consider you all a neighbor, and I want to get along with
Sure.
everybody here.
Right.
It's a small town, I came from a small town, I try to get along with people.
Cause conflict.
There's enough conflict.
Oh my gosh.
Without, let's leave it at that.
So Ken,
Right. So,
opinion now, if this gentleman wanted to say, I don't want to do an Airbnb, but I have a legal 2-family like that document just said, then we don't have to have the, if he chooses not to go for the Airbnb, we don't have to have the public hearing.
Yeah, there would be no planning board approval required, you would
Right.
just be working with, the code, the building
Yeah.
inspector, make sure that you do a fire inspection that's required on any rental, you know.
Right.
He's making sure that steps are safe and the fire, smoke detectors are up.
that, the building inspector is Carl.
Carl, yeah.
Hustle, right,
Carl,
yeah.
Yeah.
And usually the building inspector wears the fire inspector hat, at least
Yeah.
in most of the rural communities here, but I think Carl actually has a
I
background.
mean, we would like to go forward.
Yeah, he was a fire chief.
All right, well, let's push you to the public hearing and we'll see what input we get from the neighbors about it. Now, the neighbors don't make the final decision, we make the final decision, but it's easier if we give them input now in case you have a noisy group and you know what I mean? You never know how these things are gonna work out.
Again, I don't want to
I understand
make
it,
waves.
I understand, but it gives them a chance to get input and they can't come back to us and say, why did you approve that without a public hearing? So it protects the village to have a public hearing. So when will you have that stuff ready for him to come pick up? What time is it?
They put me on the spot.
It's 5:25, so like 20 minutes, right?
No, I'm off tomorrow, so.
It's not,
So by Friday?
How about she calls him?
I'm not gonna be around this week. I have doctor's appointments down in the city.
That's okay. I believe I have your email address, so I will email you the
But I'm
address.
just, there's no, it's not, it's fine.
I have other stuff that, I like water bills and stuff I have to do, but I will try and get to it and have it done by the end of
I'm
next
not-
week.
It's not urgent.
Okay.
Okay,
I don't.
And I'm always available to help too, if it's a form letter or anything like that, you know, we have a bunch of other communities of Fleischmann doesn't have a specific one they use. You know, it's pretty straightforward, but when you're like, what am I gonna put in this letter? It's nice to see, you know,
Yeah.
the address, what's happening, it's short and sweet, but it's simple.
we can just change the town.
You doctor it up based on what you're doing, but to have just a little basic template is helpful sometimes, I think. We'll get that.
Do you have a copy of the zoning laws of this village? Or do you find it online something?
Online, yeah. You have online.
So,
You have online.
yeah,
Yeah, it's online.
Everything online. You need help, you come, I help you with it.
thank you. All right, so that's the story.
Yeah, thank you for being so respectful for coming in too, and not just doing it. A lot of folks just do it and it gets problematic down the road. But thank you for being so respectful.
Again, I'm here to
Yeah, like I
get along. Not to be an asshole. It's simple.
Okay, just a brief recap, May 1st, 5 o'clock.
First Monday.
Yeah, whatever
Yes.
the
First
That's
Monday.
May 1st, yeah.
It is, okay.
Yeah, it's her daughter's birthday, so she's not
Yeah.
forgetting it. We'll have a public hearing at 5 o'clock.
I was gonna say we're gonna have a
And that'll give you a
party.
little time, sir, too, to look at that curve and see if you can come up with any
Well, I
ideas.
look at it every time I pull my car. I look at it. I mean,
Just say you get traction with the mirror and you think, hey, I can really see good, you wanna take some pictures, I mean, that's all up to you, but any ideas you have that you might want.
That's the only, the first thought that comes to my mind.
Well, that's what I was thinking of with the mirror. So the mirror would have to go across the street, which means you're gonna have to talk to them
Yeah.
to see if it's okay that you put this mirror up. It's
Oh,
also
I
gotta,
didn't think about
it's also
that.
gotta have clearance
I
for
don't
the
know,
plow.
there's a-
Because
there's
in
a
winter, we
arrow.
just got out of winter, but that plow is gonna come along and I see a lot of these mirrors disappear at the start of spring. Because, you know,
I
they,
have to figure out who owns that.
Yeah.
The derelict has it, what's the street?
Yeah.
What's the street?
Well, you can have that information, but
it's probably within the 300 feet. That might be one of the people
Oh,
you'll be
the derelict,
contacting.
absolutely. What's the-
And if you figure out who it is, you can also send them a secondary note saying, would you mind if I put a mirror on your property? If you don't hear back, I think that's yes. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that.
yeah, Paradise Lake.
That's Anita Rubin. I know.
Yeah, she's
friendly with her, so I can- but I don't think.
Ruben, yeah,
Yeah.
she's okay, no.
Another option is signs coming down the hill, blind driveway ahead or something like that. That
Yeah.
helps, you know, it helps.
Mm.
Slow down dangerous intersection.
Well, that would be something the town would, I'll provide, I'll
Perhaps.
pay for it.
You may want to, you may have a conversation with the street superintendent to see if that's something
Corky.
that could happen,
Mhm.
you know, down the road, and that could be a consideration. And
I mean, I'm concerned with it, with, no matter what.
whoever's there, yeah.
People fly down that road. They
Yeah.
Fly up that road. They don't know anything about speed limits, but
You know, that's probably me, because I have property right up above you, so, no. Okay,
all right.
Yeah,
So that's, so who would I address about putting a sign there?
yeah, Corky, I
Yeah,
show
Corky.
you. Mm,
I don't know.
so you
I know.
He's the village
Super.
speaks water super.
So you
Come
know
to
the-
me, I show you.
I'm
No.
sorry.
Come to me, I will,
You know where the firehouse is?
yes, yeah,
He's a
The
short,
Village Grove. No, he's not. He's a pretty big guy.
no.
Right behind the firehouse is their shop. So you can stop in and talk to them if you like.
yeah, in the morning, because they work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if it's a matter of, the fourth, I'll pay for the phone, I don't know.
So we don't really need a motion because we're not giving any approval. We're just saying we're going to a public hearing.
I mean, you should have a motion to set the hearing.
Okay.
Mm,
I'm so moved. You want a second?
Yeah,
All right.
I'm second.
So I guess the motion is on May 1st, we're going to have a public hearing.
Yes.
at 5
Yes.
o'clock to discuss this application.
All right, thank you, folks.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
And if anything pops up, you can get in touch with the clerk and we can come out there and look at anything you're proposing to help you.
All right, I appreciate
Okay.
that. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has some idea what, might put a cop on that.
It's a tough spot,
It really
tough
is.
spot, it's tight road right there.
Mhm.
And then you got the banks, they're going that way.
Anyway,
Thank you, sir. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Ah, but
Okay, do we have anything else in front of the meeting on the board? That says anything else from the board?
The looks she gives him are the best.
So I guess at this point, motion to adjourn,
yes,
I so
I'm
moved.
second.
This second.
all in favor?
Aye.